understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in.
Everybody, Leo Zagami and Christy Zagami here for the Leo Zagami show, our weekly, and we will have an extra show next week. It's going to be a little bit more esoteric, so get ready for that. But today we have a lot of news because, guys, yes, a lot of news. And what is it regarding this news, Christy? Los Angeles, things have gone out of control because, you see, they started to arrest a few people who were working illegally, who ICE is doing their job. But here in California, especially in Southern California, things get out of hand because we have this Chicano movement, in particular Union del Barrio. Who are they? And what is it with these Chicanos and the Jesuits? Well, we will be discussing the whole thing today. But first of all, Christy, who are our sponsors?
Elgarizada Minta and Daniel Estes.
Thank you so much.
And everybody that bought the book this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's remind our viewers that volume 12 of my Confessions is out. Is the last installment of the Confession series. It can be read without reading the prior books, but also it's a way of introducing yourself to this very important subject. This book is not only an historical essay, is also an essay on what is currently going on. And if you really want to understand who is behind the all-seeing eye in this pyramid of power, which I've been describing for many years, Volume 12 of my Confessions, History, Secret Societies, and the Politics of the Jesuit, New World Order, and their Luciferian Court. And aside from that, guys, today I made my first pizza. I of course, following the instructions of Zagami Family Cookbook, I was able to make my. Can I show my first pizza?
Of course, Mario, but please show mine as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I made my first pizza, guys. I wanted to experiment with my first pizza. It's a margherita, a simple pizza. But how did it come out? I mean, it wasn't bad, no?
No, it was really good, right?
Very good. I'm getting.
He was so happy to do it. He was just. he was just thrilled. So I was happy to see him so happy.
And a more sophisticated pizza, of course, Christy.
It's not. It's not because
No, but it is a very.
That's my favorite pizza.
It is Christy's favorite pizza. So let's show Christy's pizza. You can become a pizzaiolo, as they say in Italy, or a pizzaiola, if you follow the instructions which are detailed in the Zagami family cookbook. And I tell you guys, there is a lot to learn here. Also, how to make fresh pasta, amongst other things. I mean, you have the pizzas, of course, which are very important, but then you have the calzoni.
I haven't made that in a long time. Is that cacio e pepe?
Yeah.
I need to make that.
Absolutely.
I have salami.
There's all kinds of pizzas here that can be made. Okay, guys, now let's go into the heart of the problem here, because what has happened in the last few days is typical of what might happen here in Southern California. There was, of course, this group, which is very much a group of Marxists called Unión del Barrio, who started to spread this. They must have known that ICE was on Friday was starting their deportations in LA, because otherwise how they were able to promote this. So they spread this through the internet. LA emergency protest, blah, blah, blah. Of course, it's a particular area which me and Christy know very well, because it's one of the few areas of LA that we are forced to go sometimes because it's fueled by federal offices. And they even tried to free some of the immigrants that had been arrested from the prison. I mean, it was complete chaos last night. And so let me show you what went on here in LA. I must say, things.
Well, not here in LA, because we're in Palm Springs. So
well, but here in California, it's actually Palm Springs is considered Greater LA by some people.
Is it?
Yes. So
I didn't know.
that's what we are discussing here.
I didn't know that.
News we've been talking about all night. As you can see there, federal agents blocking protesters from a parking lot. And Mike, is this the same parking lot where you said that ICE agents were actually gathering?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, Pat, and right there, thanks, Oliver's pushing in on it. We already had one protester get pulled out by federal agents and taken into custody. So this person was in the line that the federal agents were trying to push everybody back from. He, there was a bit of a struggle. They grabbed him out of the line, threw him down, and now he is in handcuffs. So that's at least one person that's been detained. Ollie, let's go back.
Okay, this was last night, but in the afternoon, it was complete chaos. They tried their best to even attack a LA detention center, and the Democrats defend all this. I mean, it's insane. Newsom is defending the attack to a detention center. How is this possible? The Jesuits, of course, are behind. I mean, I don't want to be racist in any way, shape, or form towards the people of Mexican origins, because, as we know, California, of course, was originally part of Mexico. But the thing is, guys, that this is the United States of America. And what happened yesterday was really out of order. And the way that this chaos spreads very fast, and it creates problems for normal people who might simply want to, get on with their ordinary life, their ordinary business. Instead, it's impossible, because suddenly you find yourself in a situation like this. Complete chaos, and this is absolutely intolerable. But the most crazy thing is that Gavin Newsom is actually supporting these people and all the criminals that ICE is trying to arrest and deport, rather than the ICE agents who descended on multiple businesses in downtown Los Angeles, including a Home Depot, and carried out these raids yesterday, just like they carried out these raids a few days ago also in San Diego, where in an Italian restaurant there were numerous illegal migrants. So, Casey, what do you think about the situation? Because I mean, the far left is it seems to be supporting these actions, which are completely out of control at times, and they damage, of course, also the local businesses, but also the people who are, like I said, going along with their ordinary business. Now I'm going to explain, by the way, how all this is connected to the Jesuit order.
I was just going to say that it's amazing that Gavin Newsom is talking about becoming president, like he wants to run. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I heard that.
I mean,
I keep hearing it,
and he
and I don't
supports
know
people
why.
who write these kind of things on the wall.
It's just, it's unbelievable. And then they made this problem because they let all those immigrants in, those illegal immigrants. They're not immigrants, illegal immigrants.
Yeah, but then they are supported also by the legal immigrants, because the Chicano movement emerged in the 60s as a movement which they are Mexican immigrants, but then they started in the 70s and 80s supporting also the illegal immigrants. So that is the problem here, you see. So who is behind all this? Let's first of all show the organization and what they are, because it's important to understand who they are. So, Christy, get ready, because I'm going to make you read a few things. Okay. This is their website, Unión del Barrio, El Pueblo Unido, and these people they are absolutely revolutionaries. They are against America, and I'm going to show you and prove this. They don't want they don't want to embrace the American dream. They want to actually transform America in another shithole like South or Central America, filled with the history behind this group. They were born in 1981, and if you go on the website, the way they describe 1981 gives you an idea of their Marxist ideology.
1981 was extremely significant year for U.S. imperialism.
It's U.S. imperialism. Oh.
It is be possible. That's the way it says it.
Yeah.
Okay, it is be impossible to fully understand the rise of Ronald Reagan in 1981 without considering how the previous 2 decades of the 1960s and 1970s had dealt the U.S. one after another domestic and international crisis, humiliation, and defeat. During the 60s and the 70s, the main trend in the world had been of mass movements of social justice, anti-war, anti-establishment sentiment, domestic political assassination, and a worldwide revolutionary fervor. U.S. imperialism was reeling as the 1970s began, and it was a decade that was proving to be equally as disastrous for the U.S. empire as the 1960s.
Now, here it says, the 1970s were marked by important events such as the August 29, 1970 Chicano Moratorium March in East Los Angeles, the electoral victory of the socialist Salvatore Allende, then the Sandinistas and all this.
Oh, the Sandinistas.
I mean,
I remember that.
Of course, these people are complete and utter leftist. They of course accuse the FBI of COINTELPRO against them, of infiltrating them so they could be deactivated. They had basically created this Chicano movement, and the Unión del Barrio was founded in the summer of 1981. I think there is also a document of their foundation here. This is the very foundation of Unión del Barrio. and the purpose statement. Yonder Bar is an organization of organized, and it is to counter the colonization of our people, and then it's to defend La Raza. So this is completely racist. It is like, of course, a sort of Black Lives Matter in a Hispano-American setup. How did the Jesuits fit into this? Now, the Jesuits fit into this because the Chicano movement was very much supported in the development by the Loyola Marymount College, a Jesuit institution in Los Angeles that is home to the Chicano Law Student Association. So they control the law, they get them out of trouble, and they are pushing for the immigration policies of the left, of course. And they are a key group in what used to be known as the Católicos por la Raza. Now, here, nobody wants to be, racist in any way. My grandfather was born in Chile. I am half Italian and partly also South American. But here, guys, we have to be very honest. You cannot, these Latinx students and all these illegal immigrants and everything that they are pushing is completely anti-American in essence. And so I wanted to show you what these people have been doing and also what they have been saying to the local TV stations.
You're taking a live look at one of the protests underway in Los Angeles just a few hours after the mass immigration raids. Chris Christie is live in Air 7 with the latest. Chris.
That's right, Giovanna. It's a major protest going on about 2 hours now. Close to 1,000 people now wrapping around the detention facility between Alameda and Los Angeles Street. They started on the front steps of the federal building at 300 Los Angeles, now marching down Aliso. In the lead there is that cattle truck leading the pack as they make the turn onto Alameda Street. The strategy here is to basically encircle the detention facility, which is that building right there, where we understand there are actually some people inside of the building.
So going around the detention facility and then doing all this to eventually free some criminals. I mean, and all this, of course, supported by the Democrats. I mean, these people are completely insane, and of course,
we've been talking about all night.
Here, this is what happened last night, but there is also the testimony of some of these people, which I would like you to listen, which makes us understand really how anti-Trump they also all are, of course.
On this parking lot where these federal agents are. Not exactly sure what their motive is. They're angry, first of all, that they're there in the first place. We have not seen violence. We did see someone arrested, but for the most part, protesters have been shouting at the federal agents and taking pictures on their camera phones, obviously documenting. We do have our reporter on the ground there, Zach Boweto, if we could bring him in. Zach, can you give us a location? Is this near the federal building?
We're here on North Hill Street and Alpine in Chinatown. And it's a very active scene here at 11:30 at night. We haven't seen any violence here, and you spoke on it over on CBS LA.
Of course, the violence they don't show on the TV. They only show the people talking, against this initiative in their interviews. People like this.
Alpine in Chinatown, and it's a very active scene here at 11:30.
Let's see what they say.
Constituents and friends, so we want them to move on so that the tension can die down here, because right now it seems like it's starting to pick up.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're hearing from other federal officials who are saying that these federal agents are here serving search warrants and are here from orders from the federal government. They're reacting to Mayor Karen Bass saying that they don't want ICE in the neighborhoods here in Los Angeles. What's your response to that?
So, I mean, the mayor says they don't want ICE. Then you have officials from the Democratic Party who condemn all this. And obviously, these people then feel they can do whatever they want in the streets, block the whole life of LA.
From other federal officials saying that, those federal orders trump those local orders.
Well, one of the things is that there's also, we have state laws and city laws that protect people here, but at the same time, Donald Trump ordered ICE into the city. We have also a right to basically not cooperate with our law enforcement to help them detain people, but people also have a right to be on the streets, to be here to actively protest and use their First Amendment rights. But this all started with Donald Trump saying he was going after criminals. What I've heard today that he went after kids, parents when they're attending their kids' graduations, people that were working in the fashion district, people that showed up, people who had asylum, received asylum, were going through the process, showed up to court like they've done over and over, and were taken to the basement and arrested. So right now they're doing more to spread fear, and they're not keeping everybody safe. They're trying to say that they're keeping us safe by arresting a seamstress in the fashion district. That's just insane. So I'm here to observe, to see what happens, but also try to make sure that people stay safe.
Okay, Congressman, it sounds like Pat Harvey, our main anchor, wants to ask a question.
Okay.
Pat, go ahead. We're listening.
Yes, thank you so much, Zach. I just wanted to know if you could ask Representative Gomez, does he know why they are there right now? Because we have heard different that information that the protesters there believe that they are about to stage more raids tonight. Wondering if...
but the protesters are part of a clearly Marxist group, which is completely anti-democratic, revolutionary. You see, there is a connection here. I mean, the Unión del Barrio has really a big connection, of course, with the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church and the Jesuits have been involved with the Mexican migrant families for a long time, and this is what we have here. I mean, they say that we create negative stereotypes, but in reality, guys, you need to understand there is people who are here legally and people who are here illegally. And if you just come here illegally, unfortunately, California tends to give them everything. And people like me who went through the whole process to become an American citizen in the legal way, they feel like they have suffered an injustice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's
not fair for the people that obey the law and do exactly what the law states, and then they come in and they're not obeying the law, and they think they can just do all these illegal things and get away with it. You can't. You shouldn't.
The Jesuits have always been able to push and support this whole activism within the Mexican Americans to empower them. Now, the Chicano movement emerged from the 1960s this way, and of course, the involvement is also with educational institutes like the Loyola Marymount University, and of course, there is also the involvement of the Ignatian Solidarity Network, which continues to this day to help and support these people, even the illegal immigrants in their quest. Now, in my book, Volume 12, I explain how the the whole thing about the Democratic Party supporting this hideous open borders and immigration reforms is all because of the Jesuits. The Jesuits are at the very heart of this problem. That's why this book is not an historical essay, but it's much more. And this book is a book that will make you understand the influence that the Jesuits and the Catholic Church have. Of course, if you bring into this country millions of Catholics from Central and South America, you change the political landscape and also the religious landscape. And this, for them, it's of benefit, you know. That's what they want to do.
That's what they want.
That's what they want. And they are, like we said, they are almost like a Mexican version of Black Lives Matter. Mexican version of Black Lives Matter that, of course, the Democratic Party now wants to unleash, and with the support of Newsom.
That's
with
unreal.
the Jesuits.
He just goes back and forth, doesn't he? When it fits him, he just like moves around and does, you know, whatever. When he wants to be this way, he'll do that and say this.
Yeah, I mean, saying that ISIS is terrorizing the communities and all that.
I don't believe any of it. I think it's
they
all
spread basically this whole organization, Uno del Barrio, involved all these people because and got to even assault the detention center because they spread the news that there were 200 people that were kept in the detention center that shouldn't have been there. Then at one point, the police was even forced to intervene, even if the police didn't want to intervene because the situation was going out of hand. And I repeat, this whole thing is, I mean, contrary to what the left is trying to imply, the poor immigrants, a lot of these people are criminals. A lot of these people are criminals. And, you know, the fact that the police in riot gears had to storm the protesters to protect a detention facility, it's so all this happens because these people think they can get away with anything, like they did in the summer of with George Floyd died, and they. I mean, I had a friend in Santa Monica who had to leave Santa Monica. You remember, Patrick, because they destroyed his business. They took from his business all of his. You know, he had some hemp kind of clothing, and they stole it. So now chaos shortly erupted yesterday in the streets outside the Edward R. Roybal Federal Building and United States Courthouse, which is a place that we often go through when we go to that other place where we usually
Ronald Reagan Building.
Yeah. So I mean, these are places that me and Christy often go to, and that are usually very tranquil, though of course they border with Chinatown and areas where they have a lot of
you just have to get it on a good day or a bad day. You can get it on a really bad day and it looks very, very bad.
You know, but the thing is that they hate the cops, they hate Trump, and they make it very clear that I mean, their hate for Trump and for the cops it's all over the place. I want to show you here some things that they have written all over the place. You see images.
It's horrible. It's just so horrible. It's just so evil.
Death to cops,
It's just so evil.
or to America. I mean, these people are anti-Americans in
And look, they
essence,
don't even spell America the way it should be spelled.
but they don't care. These are
It's like a communist way to spell something.
absolutely. Oh,
We're
absolutely.
not communist.
Yeah, you know.
We're everything that's not communist. So
The Union del Barrio says they continue their fight for Chicano liberation. Chicano liberation from what? I don't understand these people. Do they want to go back to their roots? They simply can cross the border and go back from where they came from. This is. I mean, it says. Please read here, Kissy.
San Diego's historic neighborhood of Barrio Logan is home of an assortment of organizations that serve the unique needs of the community. However, few are as integrally bonded to the community and its historic struggle as Union del Barrio.
Union del Barrio was the one that went all the way to LA. And then it says here, for 40 years, Union del Barrio has been at the forefront, leading the charge of resistance against border patrol and police violence. I mean, they have been, you know, this is incredible. And they can trace the roots directly to the Chicano movements of the 1960s and 70s.
Does Chicano stand for something?
Yes, they are the Mexican Americans. They are the Chicanos. I mean, like I said, I don't want to make this a race thing in any way, shape, or form. But of course, if you come here and then you push your ethnic identity with a political identity, you see, in the 1960s, you had the Black Empowerment, the Black Power movement, the Black Panthers, and all that. No? So then the Hispanic people felt in what is known as the barrios, which is basically a theory developed by Chicano scholars, one called Albert Camarillo and Richard Griswold, that they were ethnically segregated in these neighborhoods, the Latinos. And that's where the Chicanos, Latinos of the United States started to create their own identity. And this identity, though, I mean, the Chicago movement, it's very much fixated on masculine pride, machismo, and at times very homophobic. So now that they have this, they are actually pushed by the left. It seems kind of contradicts a bit of their identity. In any case, in the 2000, you know, they have this anti-imperialism. They built solidarity with the undocumented migrants. That's where. And they became more important despite issues of legal status and economy compared. I mean, it became really important to support the undocumented migrants, something that previously they didn't do. And of course, they mix with other Latinos, but the etymology of the term Chicano is still a subject to debate. So people don't really know for sure. But there was a place, I think, it comes from, some believe that basically is a language derivative of an older word, and this derivative is from a Mexican word. And the word Chicano may also derive from the syllable of Mexicano, Mexican, mixed with something else. And of course, Chicano, like Mexicano, no? Mexicano, Chicano, kind of like, there is various hypotheses on the actual etymology of this word.
Oh, okay.
But there was a town also known as Chicana.
Oh, okay.
So that also,
I was just wondering where it came from.
There was a town that apparently also was named Chicana. But in any case, the fact that they are revolutionary, that their identity is not democratic in any way, shape, or form. It's like, I mean, they don't claim to be lovers of democracy or lovers of the American way. They say very clearly on their website, and this here I want you to read it because it's very clear.
Union del Barrio is convinced that we need a political revolution. The only possibility we have for securing a better future is to win our self-determination as people. Well, then they can go back to Mexico and do that, because this is America.
That is what that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, this is America, and that's it.
But that's supposed to be, no? Since 1981, Union del Barrio led the struggle to resist migrant police violence and blah blah blah. I mean, we call it Nuestra America, and then we fight for la raza, for our race. I mean, this is,
go back to Mexico if you're fighting for your race.
It's just, guys, this is really insane. So I mean, and the Jesuits, of course, are behind it all, and they have been supporting it. And of course, now there is also the fact that Trump wants to cut the support to some of these universities because of the diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so they are very upset. So they're very upset, and they are making known the fact that they are upset. I can show you some of the articles here. California educators protest Trump proposed cuts for English learners. With all the respect, if you come in this country, why should we pay for you learning English?
Nobody taught me to speak Italian when I was in Italy, that's for sure. I had to learn on my own, and nobody spoke English.
It says here, the 10th February, Magdalene Lavande, director of the Center for Equity for English Learners, received a letter from the U.S. State Department of Education terminating the grant and claiming that it violated Trump's executive order on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So they are now fighting also that.
They're fighting everything, every single thing.
And this is all backed by the Jesuits. I mean, let me show you the other things that, of course, here make it very clear that the Jesuits are behind it all, because otherwise people will say we have conspiracy theories. No. The Center for Equity for English Learners is at Loyola Marymount University.
Incredible.
And guys, I think that people really need to understand the importance that the Jesuits have in this process, and the fact that they are definitely behind all this. So people who don't believe me, they can just go and check. Of course, Wikipedia is not the best source where to find information, but here it says it's a private Jesuit in Los Angeles, enrolls 10,000 undergraduate and graduate students, making it the largest Catholic university on the west coast of the United States. Mm-hmm. And it's a university that is particularly close to the Chicano community. So, I mean, they are trying to destroy America as we know it, so they can transform it in something else. And regardless of what people might think of this new Pope, because, you know, he's American, he's this and that, but remember that this Pope has been placed there by a Jesuit, who is Pope Francis, and he comes from Villanova University, which is another important education. I mean, the actual order of the Augustinians also have a very important role in the educational system and the libtard leftist system of the United States of America. Now, the development of the whole Chicano movement will not have happened without the support of the Jesuits, because the Loyola Law Students, the Chicano Law Students Association at Loyola Marymount College has been very important. And the Jesuits have also been very important in the development of La Raza, which was La Raza, like you say, La Razza in Italian, no? The Race is a magazine that played a significant role in disseminating the information and fostering community amongst the activists of the Chicano community. And And of course, all of this goes in what the Jesuits call the Ignatian values, like I explained in my book. There is an article here in particular that came out in the summer of 2020 during the George Floyd thing that gives us an idea, no? Ignatian family cries out for racial justice, and you see all the protesters lying there.
Goodness.
And then you have being black in America should not be Patrick Saint-Jean, SJ, Jesuit. And this is basically how can the Catholic Church show that it's listening? Racism is race, prejudice plus power. And this is the Jesuits who are fomenting they are participating with protests outside the White House back then, during Trump's first term.
Yeah.
This is the Jesuits. And they made a big thing about, in Detroit, particularly in a black clergy-led march yesterday. The Jesuits participated back then, actively.
That's insane.
And people need to know this. That's why this book on exposing the Jesuits, the first book that exposes the Jesuits since the year 2000.
That's 25 years.
25 years. And before that, there was only one book in 1999. Rulers of Evil. That was Susi, a guy who actually made a discreetly good book on the topic. But then the only other book was in the 1986 Jesuits of Malachi Martin. So the fact that they are the Jesuits are persisting in this modality here. No, they say the only reason for racism's persistence is that white people continue to benefit from it. This is what the Jesuits are saying. I mean,
such baloney. And
this is actually, I don't know if he's a Jesuit, but he teaches at the Fordham University. And then you have, of course, this guy who is Brian Massinger, very known figure at Fordham University, which I actually mentioned in my book. So the Jesuits, somebody says, did they help Leon Trotsky? Well, if you read this book, maybe you will know it. I mean, of course they helped Leon Trotsky, like they helped the very birth of the communist movement and the people who started the communist experiment at Le Commune together with the Grand Loge de France in Paris. And then, the Jesuits, guys, were founded before they were actually accepted by the Pope in Rome. They were actually founded in Paris. And Paris was then the experiment, the town where they experimented the first form of communism in the 19th century. And this is what actually happened. It's historically proven. So in regards to the Jesuits, there's also another article that shows how the Jesuits view Trump right from the first time he was in office. This is America the Jesuit Review. It says, I was arrested protesting Trump's border policies. The gospel called us to do more. So these people...
Is that a nun?
These people are, yes, this protest Catholic leaders and advocates protest the Trump administration handling and detaining of immigrant children. And they're
God doesn't give any of them beauty, that's for sure.
And these are basically, and this is what we're fighting here. So they are definitely one thing. Socialism and the Jesuits are one, because the very nature of communism, where it was first experimented in South America, in the Reducciones, that's where the Jesuits experimented in the Reducciones with the Guarani Indians, their first form of communism. So it all kinds of all fits in, Then you have, of course, liberation theology. In more recent times, you have after the Second Vatican Council, the Jesuits becoming more and more progressive, more and more aligned with the Marxist ideology. But let's not forget that the very origins of communism can be found within the Jesuits themselves. And the fact that they say that on the official Jesuit publication that say Catholics have always been engaged in such acts of resistance to illuminate the incompatibility between the gospel and tragedies. I mean, it's like they are aligning the gospel with Karl Marx. And Karl Marx was antithetic to the gospel. I mean, he was an atheist and a Satanist. So aside from the fifth-class agents like Nancy Pelosi and many others, you have then the actual Jesuits themselves who work hand in hand with the communities that they want to, in some way, they claim that they are protecting these communities or these minorities, but in reality they are using them. No, because that seems to be ultimately what they are doing. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy. If you want to help us out, you can do it through GoFundMe. Christy, who are the sponsors of today's show? Because it's very important to thank the sponsors.
Malgrit Zadaminta and Daniel Estes.
And thanks to our sponsors, we will bring you an extra show next week. It will be a show, of course, more on the esoteric. We will explain the different kinds of magic in a special show. So don't miss it. It's going to be probably be broadcast when Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday, I don't know.
Okay.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Probably Wednesday.
Okay. We will see. But definitely during next week, we will have an extra show for you guys. And if you sponsor us, you will get a lot of extra shows. So please do that. Now, there is a lot of talk in regards to what has been happening between Elon Musk and, of course, Donald J. Trump. It's almost like a distraction from other matters of importance. For example, I haven't heard neither one or the other talking about the fact that in this big, beautiful bill, you have a 10-year moratorium for the AI, which we were the first ones to denounce last Saturday, before Joe Rogan, before Alex Jones, before everybody else. I said this show, at the end of last week's show, you can go and check it out, that it was very dangerous to give a 10-year moratorium when the nature of this technology is so fast that, you should actually suspend, like a lot of experts have called for a global suspension of all the experimentations at the end of March of this year, because if the situation continues and it could go out of control, and once the genie is out of the box, there's no way of bringing Cyber Satan back into the box. And this is why the 10-year moratorium is something that we need to point out, even if, unfortunately, it seems that neither Elon Musk or Trump have been discussing it in any way, shape, or form. So, big, beautiful bill has this element that I think that Trump is an old guy who doesn't understand maybe that 10 years is an incredible span of time for the development of this technology.
Right.
And the possible takeover of this technology, because when you see the AI self-replicating, the AI blackmailing their own engineers, the AI acting rogue, well, then you know that we are close to something very dangerous.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Blackmailing
their own.
Blackmailing.
It's completely insane. I mean, but in regards to the clash between Elon Musk and Trump, Elon Musk's father, who is very much a Trumpian, spoke with El Arabiya, and this is what he said.
Very much indeed for joining us. I can see you're in a departure lounge of an airport. It's been a very eventful 24 hours. First up, what was your immediate reaction when you saw the Twitter exchange last night between your son and the US president?
Well, what's happened is the alphas have sort of cleared, I would say the alphas have cleared the opposition. And like most animals, elephant and, the different types of animals, lions and so forth, and humans are now looking to take on each other. It seems a bit silly to me, but Elon is concerned about the money that is being given to Dems in order for them to vote for this bill. He feels that's not the right thing to do, to give them into their schemes and their somewhat dishonest schemes, if you ask me. But in order to get the bill passed, they have to meet the Dems requirements. That's what I understand, and Elon is concerned about that.
Okay,
And
do you think we've reached a point
that in due course he may be held liable for the bill,
Do you think this is a bump in the road, or do you think this is the end of the road for the relationship between your son and Mr. Trump?
Just a bump in the road. It'll fizzle out in a few days. Yeah.
You sound confident they can be friends again.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Okay. So you, Christy, have a different idea.
Well, I don't think they're going to be friends anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I hope not anyway. I didn't like when they began talking to each other. And I'm not saying
Christy always saw, I said myself that he's always been a very ambiguous figure, Elon Musk, because of his love for transhumanism.
I know, and I like Earth. I don't want to go to Mars. I like it here.
Now, Trump says that if Elon Musk will support the Democrats in any way, the candidates from the Democratic Party, he will suffer very serious consequences.
When did he say that?
This in the last few hours in an interview, a telephonic interview with NBC. So do you think that they have really broke for good, that there is no possibility of them coming back together?
Well, I can't say. I don't know what people are going to do, but I hope they don't.
You actually hope they don't.
Yeah.
Because you don't...
I didn't find him to be... I didn't like the whole thing. It just really, I didn't like any of it. So
now it seems though that Elon Musk has erased his ex post on Epstein.
Oh, amazing! But you can't do that because it's already, everybody already saw that. They've already put it all over the nighttime. Comedians are all like Kimmel. We got to watch that. When was that? Last
with the
night?
Nuclear blast.
The nuclear blast.
Yes, okay,
they're just enjoying this so much. So, if anything, Elon should be really ashamed of himself for doing this to the president of the United States. I mean, people don't get to go into the Oval Office. That is such a privilege. I mean, anyway,
so
whatever.
You think that
I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing. I just don't care. I'm just glad that he's away from Trump. That's all.
Okay. Now, the godfather of the AI, let's go back to the AI because that's a subject which I think is very relevant for a future, more relevant than this squabble between Trump and Musk. He's very alarmed. He says, as advanced systems quickly learning to lie, deceive, blackmail, and hack, I'm deeply concerned by the behaviors that unrestrained agentic AI systems are already beginning to exhibit. Chrissy, will you read this?
A key artificial intelligence pioneer is concerned by the technology's growing propensity to lie and deceive, and he's founding his own nonprofit to curb such behavior.
In a blog post announcing Law Zero, the new non-profit venture, AI godfather Yoshua Bengio said that he has grown deeply concerned as AI models become even more powerful and deceptive.
This organization has been created in response to evidence that today's frontier AI models have growing dangerous capabilities and behaviors. The world's most cited computer scientist wrote, including deception, cheating, lying, hacking, self-preservation, and more generally, goal misalignment.
Now, you know that I have dedicated a whole trilogy to the Cyber Satan. From early 2019 with the publication of Confessions of an Illuminati, volume 6.66, and then continuing with volume 7 and then volume 9, I created a trilogy that was really ahead of its time, and it's still ahead of its time, because it's denouncing this connection with the demonic, and also the danger that this AI thing might have for mankind. And of course, the connections with the Jesuits, the connections with the Masonic world. We have actually done a whole show last week. We were pretty much discussing certain topics that we found relevant always in regards to cyber Satan. So I think that people need to really get volume 6.66, volume 7, and volume 9, because in volume 9 then we go to the next stage, the quantum computers, and of course the quantum Prince of Darkness. Somebody saying, Christy, the problem is that bad people are pushing ahead with these plans with malintent. If the good don't fight and win on that level, the bad wins.
I agree.
Unfortunately, yes, that's completely right. It's very difficult, because it seems like there is nobody that wants to fight something like the AI development, because if you fight it, then you will get China to develop it on its own. So they say we will have to still develop it here in the US, so we don't fall behind China.
We don't fall behind China.
But this is really a very dangerous race. A little bit like the Manhattan Project, a little bit like when we went and developed all those weapons that now are always in the back of our minds when we're talking about nuclear Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we have Russia with over 5,000, 6,000, whatever nukes they have, and then we have the US around 5,000, then we have China, which is starting to develop their own nuclear arsenal, and then we have other countries that are a little bit more rogue in their way of developing a nuclear, and we are still debating if Iran is developing or not nuclear, aside from North Korea, that is still a threat to the world as much as other countries that have, like Pakistan, this kind of facility, which we don't really trust in the hands of people. Fortunately, like Trump said the other day, he managed to bring Pakistan and India to their senses before they will unleash something more dangerous, like a nuclear confrontation between the two parts, as both India and Pakistan are both nuclear countries. Now, Steve Bannon claims that Elon Musk is actually a Chinese agent. Have you heard about that?
No, but it could be.
He definitely has a lot of interest in China, though I'm not sure. I mean,
you can't say anything about somebody unless you know it's a fact. So,
yeah.
He shouldn't even be saying that about him.
But he is well informed, usually, says Steve Bannon. We saw him also with the Vatican.
Yeah, that's true.
But the thing is that that in the end, Elon Musk has only another possibility, which is to go back into the Democratic fold, which I don't know if that's a good thing for him now that X is so much reliant on the more conservative. So, he's damaging his business on all sides, His position has been damaging his business when he embraced Trump and the MAGA, and now that he's
I think these people with all this money, they have these huge egos, and they want things the way they want them. And if they don't get their way, then their ego just really fights. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing his ego. And then, I think that he realized what he did. I don't know, because I just listen to the news when you say it. I don't really go into looking for it myself anymore.
Who you think has a bigger ego, Trump or Elon Musk?
I think you have to have a big ego and have a lot of confidence to do the things that Trump wants to do. And so, I mean, the ego is the thing you have to really, God doesn't want you to have the big ego, you know, so it's not, God doesn't like that. I know that. So, but whatever, if he does the right things, we're still like waiting to see what's going to happen. I mean, we're still in this, let's see what happens stage. I think everybody has faith that he's going to do what he said he's going to do.
Talking about Trump.
I'm talking about Trump.
Okay, let's say what Trump has just said in the last few hours regarding this whole debacle, and let's see what is his latest position before, of course, closing this show, as you all know, with our usual dance.
Money could be to cancel some of Musk's contracts. How seriously are you considering that?
Well, we'll take a look at everything. I look at everything. He's got a lot of money. He gets a lot of subsidy. So we'll take a look at that. Only if it's fair. Only if it's fair for him and for the country. I would certainly think about it, yeah, but it has to be fair.
Mr. President, would you consider reopening investigations into his companies? There are a bunch of investigations.
I didn't know that they had any, but they had them. I would just let them speak for themselves. I had no idea. Excuse me. I have no idea whether or not they had investigations.
What's your view on Elon Musk as of today? I mean, have you heard from him at all? Is your team?
Honestly, I've been so busy working on China, working on Russia, working on Iran, working on so many. I'm not thinking about Elon. I just wish him well.
Not thinking about Elon, but he wishes him well. And we wish you well, guys. Of course, we will see you during the week with a show that will be more on the esoteric side. We want to thank all those people who have made my latest book a bestseller. I want to actually show my latest book on Amazon, Confessions of an Illuminati, Volume 12. You can find it, of course, also linked to my website. Let me see here if I can show you exactly what this book is doing at the moment. If you can, if you have purchased this book, please leave a review, because the Jesuits, of course, will love to send this book down in the ratings, and so we actually asking you who have purchased this book to leave a 5-star review, because this book deserves a 5-star review. I mean, people who have purchased this book have lived great reviews, and some people, of course,
that's fake.
I
reported it, but imagine Amazon did nothing, and we make them,
because it's fake, because they actually, in that review, they claim something that is not. They claim that this is only an historic book, an historical essay.
No, it's current and it's like relevant, and everybody should read it. And so they just write something that will try to discourage people. But hopefully, if they've made it to your book, they're smart enough and know that,
to understand that.
Yeah.
Yes. That's well said, Christy. Absolutely. Well, guys, me and Christy will go and eat the leftovers of our pizza that you can learn how to make with the Zagami family cookbook. And of course, we can have a dance.
In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Bitchants of Bitchabars, medieval. This is the track. This is the guy who actually did also the book cover, the excellent book cover for this book, and the Barrio music. We'll see you next week for 2 appointments, 2 shows with Leo and Christy. Don't miss them. This show was broadcast on Facebook, on YouTube, on Rumble, and on BitChute, and of course on band.video. Please share it and put like.
technology, social organization,